Hi everyone. So here is Moonlight Soul and Adrienne Gibson from EA Astrologer, and we're getting together to talk about this very exciting new moon in Sagittarius. Hello, Adrienne. Welcome.
Hi, Mila. Thank you. Yes, it is very exciting new moon. Yeah, very exciting. We're
Yes,
on the way.
I am so in for this new moon because, as we were discussing, this is the first new moon in Sagittarius with Pluto in Aquarius in our lifetime, and it's the first lunation since Pluto moved into the sign of Aquarius for the next 2 decades. So we see it in some very big timelines over here.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Sagittarius for the first moon is this moon of expansion, right? We're expanding our awareness and as we move forward. So it's all a little dark and muddled right now, but
But it's
hold on
good
tight.
because it's exactly what we were discussing. We are in a womb space from which everything
Yes.
is created, everything is possible. So it is dark, but it's that
Yes,
0 point, the unlimited potential, whatever it can become. So it's exciting.
absolutely. Yeah, for sure. So we should jump in
Yeah, let's
because
jump
there's a
in.
lot to talk
Let's
about
show
today.
people the charts.
All right. Let me pull it up. And there it is. There it is. 1:20 a.m. tomorrow morning.
Yep, for me it's right after midnight. I'm 1 hour behind, and so for the people in the mountain and Pacific, right, it will be still on Saturday. But for everyone else, it will be already Sunday early morning, December 1st. So we enter a new month with new moon in Sagittarius.
How exciting. And look at this chart. It is spread all around. I love it.
And it's beautiful with all these trines. This is like such a blessing. This lunation is blessing from God, literally.
Yes, it really is. And there has, I think in those trines, there's the upward is a water, what is it, a fire trine and an earth trine, I think. Is that it? No, it's an out of sign trine.
Yeah. That one is out of sign. But yeah, the fire, yes, that's the North Node, Mars, and the Moon itself.
Yes. So that's pointing to this new fire energy, this spirit energy that's moving us forward. Um, and so, yeah, we've got Pluto in Aquarius, 0 degrees. We are beginning the individuation process. And I think it's an interesting thing. I've been thinking about this a lot, that Pluto and Aquarius, like with evolutionary astrology, it's the opposition point is the direction that Pluto is moving, and
Hmm.
Mars is right near, it's conjunct the opposition point. Mars will be going retrograde, but and we'll go all the way back into Cancer. But the point is that the opposition point of Pluto, and for the next 20 years, is going to be Leo, where we're all stepping into our inner child, not becoming childlike, but
Hmm.
becoming that way that children are, which is excited to see what's coming next and full of joy and yeah, just open. Heart is open, full of love and direction and doing those things that make us feel alive. And I think that that's part of what this Pluto in Aquarius energy is about, because it's breaking off the chains. I like to call it the chains, the structure of Capricorn that's held us all in this place where we felt, some people feel depressed or anxious, or, we're doing things that we don't want to be doing, but we think we have to do them because we have this reality that we've been locked into for such a long period of time.
Hmm.
And that's what's shifting.
Exactly, and it's literally that analogy which we shared and we agreed upon is the Devil card from Tarot, which represents the Capricorn, and is this structure of reality that is now ending. Saturn being in Pisces, Neptune being in Pisces, still retrograde at this stage, It's ending, is dissolving the structure of reality. The spell is literally breaking, and more are starting to recognize that actually, if I really believe that I'm a creator of my reality, why the hell would I want to keep creating this over and over and over again? Let's break free from it, because we know people who work with tarot that on the card of the devil, the chains are actually loose. These people can take
Yes.
them off, but they making the choice. They think that, oh, well, I'm doomed, or I'm obliged, or because of loyalty towards whatever, ancestors, cultures, religion conditioning, whatever it is. But we always have a choice, and this is what this opposition between Mercury and Jupiter, both retrograde, having a mutual reception, Jupiter being the ruler of this new moon, and obviously Sun is connected to Mars because Mars is in Leo, and so it goes. Mars is the ruler of the North Node. So this is exactly what it is inspiring us to do, to have a proper look, because this is introspective energy, the retrograde energy. This is the illumination of, like, is this the story that you want to keep recreating? Is this the way of thinking you want to keep thinking going forward? Because you always have a choice, but you have to take a responsibility. This Venus still in the sign of Capricorn at the moment as the ruler of the South Node.
Yes, absolutely. And Jupiter being the ruler of this lunation, it's about the belief structure, what we all believe to be true. And in its retrograde form, it's like looking back. We're looking back at what our belief structure has been. And like you said, we're being asked to question, is this what the truth is? Is this what I know? And I think that and I came to this here in the last couple of days because it's all of a sudden I'm like, I'm not even sure what I know. It's like this, it's a muddling. In our conversation, I described it as feeling a lot like Pisces, like what is true, what is real? It doesn't seem like it has any boundaries. And I think that it's this energy where we're going to be bringing our own sense of belief. This new moon in Sag is, beginning, we're seeding this belief structure that comes from within ourselves instead of having the beliefs fed in from the outside through, cultural beliefs and religious beliefs and science. Even all of these belief structures um, are controlling us from the outside, but we can, in this muddling, we will find that it will open up to what we believe and what we want to think as the direction that we want to think about, which will change our reality. And it's all about what you think and what you believe.
Exactly. Everything starts with the thought. And now, because both are retrograde, taking you inwards, and it makes you to feel it. Like, is this the truth I feel in my body? I feel in my heart. And I really feel like what you were saying about these belief systems, that we have the opportunity to reevaluate what is the truth. That's the square between Jupiter and Saturn, which we know is ongoing. And we have 3 hits. We actually had one hit exactly on a full moon in Aquarius on August 19th. And then we'll have another one around Christmas time. And then there will be one more once Jupiter moves into Cancer and Saturn into Aries. And that's also when Jupiter will square Neptune exact from the point of Cancer to Aries, which is after this Mars retrograde through Leo, Cancer, back to Leo. So even whatever we are discovering and uncovering now as like, oh, this is my truth, this is my authentic expression, that will very likely change by May next year, because, Mars will go retrograde, Venus will go retrograde. There will be all sorts of things happening. And meanwhile, the Neptune, North Node conjunction, all the rest of it. So things are on a continuous, rapid motion of change, because now people are awakening, starting to question, realizing the first layer of, this is my truth. But then you go deeper, because then you start sifting through all this trauma and triggers and ancestor stuff and past life stuff, whatever it is. And once we open the can of worm, it starts coming up, right? It just starts coming up. So that's what I mean. So and this is again the Sagittarian energy, mutable energy. Hold on to your truth, but hold on to it lightly, because at the moment we're going through the process of sieving, or like going through the this Virgo thing. We are organizing things. Is this my truth or is this somebody else's truth? So this is the first layer. This is my truth or is it somebody else's truth? But now you discerning that, okay, this is my truth. And now we're going to dig deeper. Is this really my truth? Why is this my truth? Is this still in alignment with my needs and value? And this is the process we'll be going through for the next 6 months to the
Yes.
full moon in, Sagittarius.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, is the values are changing. You can see that Venus down at the bottom of the chart next to Pluto is in Capricorn. This is the structured values that come from outside of ourselves, and it's in a closing phase. As
Hmm.
it crosses over Pluto, our values will come anew. We'll be beginning a new cycle. And it's interesting because Venus is ruling the South Node. The South Node for this whole year and a half, we're coming to the end of the journey of the South Node through Libra, which is where we have identified ourselves with the outer world, with our relationships, with our, anything outside of ourselves. This is how we define who we are. We have in the past, and that's the part that's switching. We are going to be defining ourselves from within. This spontaneous, this is the North Node in Aries. It's spontaneous, it's instinctual, it comes from within. And to me, it's like, right, Aries is it's from God. It comes from
Hmm.
spirit. It's the manifestation of spirit through each of the individuals. And we've not followed that because we've been following that South Node in Libra, where everything is external. And as Pluto has made its way through Capricorn, this has been the dissolving of the external structure. And so as it dissolves, we are letting go of the need to look to the outside of ourselves to determine who we are.
Absolutely.
New Moon
And
in
I really
Sag.
feel it's so interesting that literally a week from now, Venus is going to make her second conjunction to Pluto in this year. I mean, I don't know. Obviously, I've not been working with astrology for decades like some people. I don't know how often this happens that Venus has two conjunctions with Pluto within 1 year. And
Oh,
this year
wow.
it's happening, and it's happening both times in Aquarius. And this is right before, Pluto makes trine to South Node. We have the new moon in Capricorn number 2, and also the nodes are going to change in January. So it's really like what you said, that this entire past 18 months period since July 2023, when the nodes shifted on the new moon in Cancer, we've been discovering, like, who am I? Is the way I see myself and identify myself through all of these labels, is it actually truth for me, or am I just living a life based on somebody else's expectations, standards, whatever it is? So this is what we were working on in this past 18 months or so, and this is why so many people are walking out of relationships, changing friendships dynamics. Like, there is all this redefinition going on with regards to the way we relate to people and to the external reality outside of us. And this is
Yes.
because Venus is just about to have second conjunction with Pluto in Aquarius. And then Pluto
Yes.
is going to trine this South Node at the end of the year that Pluto had been squaring for the entire 2023. Pluto was squaring the lunar nodes, and now it's going to trine the South Node. That was the resolution node, because we're trying to establish some kind of balance. And this is also what you and I were talking about, that the way that we do relationships of any kind, romantic, friendships, any kind of relationships, going forward into Aquarian age is going to completely change.
Yes. And part of the reason that it's going to change is because our values have changed. Uranus has been in Taurus for quite a long time. We still have a little bit more time of Uranus being in Taurus, but it's about breaking out of an old value system. And it's ruling the South Node. Venus is getting ready to move into Pluto and change that completely. We're going to break free from that. So it's just an interesting energy that all of this, that's the other trine, by the way. It's Uranus, South Node, and Venus. Um, yeah, that's the energy that's going to help us to shift and break free so that maybe, I mean, maybe it's just that so that the fire from within can begin to move
Manifest.
because we have to change those values. If we're not valuing these changes, then nothing will change. The values have to shift, the beliefs have to shift, and then everything can change because we're not holding on to anything at that point.
But the values are changing, especially because our sense of value is changing. So it's the
Yes.
value which is the representation of something that we connect in with outside of us. You know, I value this, I value that, because but the main thing that's been happening throughout Uranus transiting through Taurus since 2018, I believe, is that we are forced to start valuing ourselves, that we are forced
Yes.
to reconnect with ourselves and see ourselves as worthy, as the assets, as the creator, as the whatever, you know, because
Yes.
really like foundationally, and Taurus is the foundation. Taurus is the second sign of the zodiac. If we don't feel worthy, if we don't feel that we can create, if we don't feel we have the tools and the resources within ourselves, that you know, we have the power to create the reality, then it doesn't matter what comes afterwards, because everything is going to be influenced by our relationship towards ourselves. So I feel, yes, our values are changing, absolutely, and they have to change. But the reason why they're changing is because our relationship towards ourselves, towards oneself, my
Ah,
relationship with
yes.
me is changing. And this is what Uranus has been like breaking us free, just like we were saying previously in previous videos, that it's literally Uranus is fracturing this like a scaffolding that we are covered by, you know, like a
Yes.
statue, you know, like a real statue that is covered by this stuff that creates another, you know, I guess, person on the top of you as a part of, you know, a part of you, whatever. So that's what Uranus is doing, is breaking us free. It's breaking us free. And this is the process that many people are undergoing, including myself and you, where we feel like, I don't even know who the hell I am anymore. I
Yeah,
feel like all
that's
these layers are falling off, and underneath all of that is this raw vulnerable essence, and I don't know what it is.
yeah. I mean, that is literally the first thing I said to you is like, I don't even think I know who I am anymore. What? And I guess the new me will be building up, but
Exactly.
I I've lost so many pieces and parts of myself. You know, desires have changed, and yeah, what I've done for a living has changed, and everything is falling apart, and it kind of leaves me in this like kind of dumbfounded, like, okay, now what? And I think that this reversal of Mars that's coming up, where Mars moves back into Cancer, is to help to build that up. It's coming from within, from ourselves, from our own sense of inner security. And because Mars now is collecting information and giving us the experience to feel that joy and to feel that heart open. It's a
Exactly.
freedom that we're feeling. And as it goes to retrograde, that just tells me that, you know, there's more that we have to align our actions and our desires with that are within us. And that Mars retrograde back, I can't remember, it goes back to 16 degrees, I think,
Let
almost
me see. I
halfway
have it
through.
all written here because I just made my notes for next week. It's going to go all the way back to 17 degrees and 1 minute.
17.
Mhm.
Okay, so a little bit past the halfway point, but that's the point where we're going to, which decans is that? Ha-
Scorpio.
yeah. It's the transformation.
Yeah, 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 and that's what I mean. You know, like even the person that you uncovering to be your authentic expression now, it is not the same thing. It's gonna be 6 months from now when we have a full moon in Sag, because we need to go through this Mars retrograde and then subsequently Venus retrograde, which literally will
Yes.
follow like a few weeks later, as the current rulers of the South and the North Node, and they have been for the past 3 years, because traditionally Mars rules Scorpio. So the past 3 years, Venus and Mars were involved with the south and the north node. First, Venus being the rule of the north node, Mars being co-rule of the south node from the traditional astrology perspective as the Scorpio ruler. And now they switched. Mars is the rule of the north node, Venus is the rule of the south node. We already experienced Venus retrograde last year. In August in 2023 in Leo, just like where Mars is now. And this is like where everything is changing. Everything is changing because we are changing. And yes, and we have to change because in order to be a frequency match to the reality that wants to be birthed, that is coming through, that energetically is already here, with this energy of Aquarian age, Pluto now in Aquarius to stay for 2 decades, there is no other way. There is no other way because it's not a matter of, like I keep repeating myself, we have a free will choice, but this is not something we decide. This is something that is happening because us all being incarnate at this present moment of time, we gave a consent as a soul. We gave a consent that I want to be here during this time. And we knew what we were getting ourselves into, that this is going to be a most transformational time on planet Earth in a long time, if not
a long time, thousands of years, maybe thousands and thousands of years.
If people feel victimized, and this is horrible and tough pill to swallow, but if they feel victimized that I didn't choose to be here, this is a mistake, I shouldn't be here, like it's so easy as a human, it's so easy to die. It's so easy to die. So if you weren't supposed to be here, you wouldn't be here. That's literally as simple as that. So if I'm here and if I'm still breathing and I have the desire to wake up tomorrow morning, means that I still have a purpose to fulfill that I obviously must have agreed to, otherwise I wouldn't be here. So that's what I mean. And this is all the Capricorn energy. Venus is the ruler of South Node in Capricorn. At this stage, she is on the Virgo decan, which is this, what we need to adjust, what we need to heal is why do we feel victimized? Because victimization and the state of victimhood and being a conscious creator of reality is not a match. It's not a frequency match. So I cannot feel like a victim and I cannot feel like a creator of my reality at the same time. It's not possible.
Yes.
But there is no other way to get to Aquarius, only through Capricorn. So this is literally what we're doing right now. And this is why, I guess Mars and Venus has to go through retrograde because everything is being reevaluating. And you and I, we, based on our comparison of the nodes, we know that majority of aspects we are experiencing at the moment are happening 3 times because of the retrogrades. And that in itself is saying a lot. 3 hits.
It's interesting what you say about how the energy is shifting and we have to match that energy. It reminds me of like when I was a kid, I used to have fish tanks, tropical fish in the fish tank. And whenever I would get a new fish, you had to take the plastic bag of water that your fish was in and set it inside the fish tank and allow the heat or the temperature of the tank to match the energy of the water before you let the fish out. That's what it reminds me of. Like our outer environment is changing frequencies. This is what's happening. And we are changing frequencies. So if we feel nervous or, out of sorts, I've been feeling out of sorts. I can't even figure out anything that's going on. It's just like, okay, I feel different. It's because we are aligning our interior, our sense of self with this outer frequency shift. And it'll take time. It's like, we have to sit in that fish tank for a little while in our plastic bag.
Well, and that's why we have nodes going into Virgo Pisces for the next 18 months from January, because that is the opportunity to acclimatize to the fish tank, because Pluto is already in Aquarius. We'll have the dance of the Saturn, Uranus, Neptune next year going back and forth between the feminine and masculine sign until they settle in 2026 summer, just like the nodes will by then shift. And we keep talking about it, that July 2026 is going to be a mind-blowing time. But anyway, right here, right now, this is what we're preparing for. We have this time because, yes, everything is speeding up. Everything is changing rapidly. But still we are in 3-dimensional experience, most of us, at most of the time. And things are moving slowly, even though they're moving fast, but they're changing slowly, especially on the physical material level. Yeah, it will take time for us to see the change manifested in the
In
material
the outer
world.
world, right?
But that's because we need time to change our inner world. And that's what we're going through at the moment. Our inner world has to be a match. So then, like the world will not change until we change. So we have to change first. The energy of the world is changing, but the physical manifestation has not yet changed. We cannot see so much proof for the change yet. But that's
Yes.
because we need to change ourselves and see the change in our inner world, in our
Yes.
life, in our reality. And this is the process we are entering into with regards to the energies of these nodes moving into Pisces, Virgo in January.
Exactly.
In my opinion, anyway, I'm not saying
Yeah. No,
because the
I'm
truth.
agreeing with you. I agree with you. In fact, I think that North Node getting ready to conjunct Neptune is about spiritualizing who we are,
Exactly.
becoming aligned with spirit, allowing that it's like the merging of the Pisces and the Aries together. It's that point of creation.
Exactly. Exactly. That's the point of incarnation.
It's the
That's
point
literally
of
it.
incarnation, and that's what's happening. We're getting the opportunity to incarnate while we're in these bodies
That's
into
exactly it.
somebody new,
That's
into
exactly
the
it.
newness that we want. And it has nothing to do with the system and the energy and the way that the life has been on this planet up until now. It's all changing, and this is part of the shift. And it's a very exciting, they've been saying for years it's an exciting time to be alive, but
Exactly.
it's really an exciting time to be alive.
That's so funny because literally, as you said it, like this is exactly what I've been saying, and I might have mentioned it in some of my previous videos. I don't remember which one now. Like I literally been saying this to my clients. It's like you die and you go through your life review, and then you get together with your spirit guides and angelic team and everyone, and then you create this new life, which is your incarnation, the next one. It's happening right here, right now. You don't have to bloody die and exit physical realm and your body and be reborn and be a baby again and go through all of that again to get to this point. It's happening right here, right now. We are right now, and especially with the North Node in Pisces, South Node in Virgo from January, we are having live review. Right now, we're having
We
live
are. That's
review.
what's happening.
We are reevaluating everything. Jupiter Mercury opposition 3 times. We're reevaluating everything. Literally everything is being reevaluated. Every aspect, every area of our life, every thought, every belief, everything is being reevaluated. It's like your mini life review while in the physical form. And
Yep.
then you decide, what do I want my next incarnation while I'm here? My next chapter of my life in this life to look
Yep.
like. And this is Sagittarius new moon for you. This is
Yes.
literally it. You decide.
You
You see
decide.
it.
Absolutely. I love that.
Yeah, it's so hilarious, really.
It is. And I
But
think it's interesting that it's all the inner planets doing the work. Like the outer planets are shifting the energy, but the inner planets, this Mars and Venus going backward, they're really literally doing the work.
it's also because it would blow our sockets.
It would, yeah.
It's like we cannot do both, we're still like limited by time and space and our mental capacity, which of course is expanding with Jupiter in Gemini, but currently retrograde. But when Uranus get to Gemini, this more of this will be possible, what you're talking about right now. But at the moment, with what we're working with and dealing with shedding all the trauma, wounding, cords, contracts, all this is being shed, it would be too much. Already our body, for most of us that are sensitive, we feel overstimulated, overloaded. We need much more time to rest, much more time to retrieve and meditate because the body is still dense, even though there is much more light and we becoming much more like much more um, embodying our light body, let's just say. But still, the body is limited by its density of the form and shape that it has at the moment, and it takes time. So that's why I feel like the personal planet has to do a lot of work at the moment because this is more what we are attuned to and what is impacting us on everyday basis. But if the outer planets were, like flaring at us at the same time at rapid pace as they will once they move to Aries, Gemini, and Pluto is already in Aquarius, we need to acclimatize. So that's what I mean. This next year and a half, this is the time for us to acclimatize to that which is coming, because as of 2026 summer, and the energy of that we will feel before that, but
Oh,
already
yes.
next year we'll be dipping into it. But as of July 2026 and Chiron in Taurus, that's it.
Yeah.
Your
I
roots.
think even before that, I think it's like there's that Jupiter, no,
The Saturn
Neptune
is
Saturn conjunction at the
in
Aries
Aries,
point
yes.
in February of 26, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
But we
that's the
won't feel
thing.
that so much. That's more external, but by
But you
July
see,
for
like,
sure.
this is what we were saying, that more and more the predictions will be irrelevant because people
Mm,
are embodying more their role of creator, conscious creator, through learning to work with the quantum field. And then you just create whatever timeline you want to be experiencing. You manipulate your own energy by understanding your emotion and working with the universe, working with your higher self, that all these predictions might or might not apply to it. It depends whether you frequency match to it. And this is where a whole ball of game is going to open up for all of us. And this is what, again, is the potential that this Sagittarius new moon represents, because Jupiter is in Gemini, the sign of multidimensionality. Mercury is in Sagittarius, which is ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter is the ruler of this new moon. Sun is the ruler of Mars. Mars is the ruler of North Node. We can just go in circles over here. So that's
yeah.
what I mean. This is it. This is it. This is the potential for us to start shifting our way of existing in this world and tapping into new resources, as quantum field and stuff that was always there. We just weren't frequency much to it to be able to work with it consciously. But now with Pluto in Aquarius, we are, and we become more and more when Uranus moves into Gemini. And this is it. Like, once we
Is it?
understand how this reality works and how universe works, and we start being more in a flow state and in resonance rather than in resistance,
I love
trying
that.
to control everything, from the place of wounded ego and program, like,
Yeah,
there is no limit to what you can be experiencing on this planet. And that's why people thinking this is a prison planet and we are all victim and it must be a punishment to be in here. Change your rhetoric, change your story, because there are, apparently, not that I am privy to it, queues of souls waiting for this privilege to come here to play on planet
right.
Earth, where everything is possible.
Yes. And it's interesting. And I think what you're talking about is a lot to do with this Jupiter Mercury opposition point. We're dissolving this old, everything's muddling together. Jupiter retrograde is learning to follow our own truth. What is our own beliefs?
Hmm.
What is it that we believe out of the whole multitude? I mean, information is just all over the place. We're really overloaded with information at this point. And within that, we have to find ourselves. We have to find what our truth is. We have to find what we want. What's the reality? Like you were saying, what is the reality we want to create? Because we are definitely on the edge of being, Saturn and Pisces. We're getting to lay down the structure that we want upon this plane that we're living in.
And that's exciting, but you see, this is where the word responsibility and currently discipline comes in, the Capricorn, Venus in Capricorn, because
Yeah.
it's necessary, because the more we are going to tune into who we really are and reclaim our access to all there is and our gifts and our tools and everything, and it's just going to be available to us and we'll be instant manifestors and stuff. We need to be able to use these tools in a conscious way that is for betterment of all, not just like party tricks and like, hey, look at me, ego and stuff. And this is why we're going through this shedding. We're going through this shedding of this conditioning, trauma, this, like, because ego plays a very important role, but we no longer want it to be behind the driving wheel of our car. And actually it kind of isn't, because always higher self is in charge anyway. But our mind always tries to control things, and it's based on the past, and the ego is the construct of the environment, it's construct of the program, of the conditioning, of the trauma, and everything. So anyway, so we're just trying to balance these energies. We're just trying to
Yes,
neutralize, to understand when is the good time to go in, when is the good time to go out, when is the good time to like ask our logical mind, is it a good idea to cross the road when I can see a lot of traffic and a green light for the cars or not, and when is the time when we tune into our intuition and go, okay, in order for me to create a different result from the situation I'm experiencing and keep recreating and re-experiencing over and over and over again in all these different lifetimes, I need to create it from a different place, from a different level of consciousness, right? Like Einstein said, you cannot resolve the problem from the same place it was created, the same place of, same level of consciousness. So this is where the intuition, the higher mind comes in. And this is where we are just becoming more aware of and conscious. So it's just the expansion of consciousness. So we know how to navigate through reality in a different way to create a reality that actually we want to be experiencing, that gives us the sense of joy and happiness and is in alignment with our needs and values.
exactly. And I think a lot of it has to come from the heart. We start thinking with the heart. This is the
Yes.
responsibility that we need to take because you're right, we have to take responsibility for this, you know, power that we're about to wield. You can't just, it's like the ability to create our reality is such a special responsibility.
Mm.
But we have to be able to create a reality in which all people can be part of. We, we're not alone on this earth plane. We are with 8 billion of us out there now. So there is a certain amount of responsibility. But I think that this journey between Saturn and Neptune in February of 2026 really does align a spiritual nature, and it will help all of us to align to this place because as the outer world continues to crumble, because it's not gone yet, it's not going to go anywhere really. We're still going to see the
Mm.
remnants of it all through Pluto and Pisces. That'll be Pluto and Pisces, the journey of Pluto and Pisces for however long it's going to be in there. But that's where it'll all dissolve back into it. But up until then, I think
Yeah.
that, we'll be given the tools. We are little gods. We're going
Yeah.
to be given the tools and we're going to learn with responsibility how to maneuver these tools and how to live our lives. And it's definitely an interesting time.
Yeah, and I think like there are multiple points. Like, we're going to be using the tools responsibly because we don't have to wait to different lifetime to experience the result of the karma, which is just the unbalance, right? Because it's happening instantly, instant manifestation, instant cause and effect, right? Which is karma. The law of karma is just a cause and effect. It's not like there to get you. It's just to neutralize energy that is out of balance. But actually, the main thing which you pointed out, which is important to mention, is this creation from the place of heart. And the Aquarius, which is that it's not just about me or just about you or just about anyone. It is about me in my life because I'm the sun of my solar system. However, I came here to co-create as a part of human collective consciousness, as a part of source, something that is for expansion and betterment of all. And that where we heading is that equality, the Aquarius, everybody is equal, everybody has a voice, everybody has equal opportunities, nobody is better or worse, above or
It,
anything,
yeah,
and this is a very important component, and a very important aspect of it is that heart, that rather than looking at someone through the database of the past, that okay, you look like this, you come from there, you have this much money, this is your status, blah blah blah. This is all very mind oriented, that it's not connected to the heart, where which like I mentioned before, when you see pictures, especially this is how they manipulate us in media, mainstream media, when you see pictures, footages from Africa, and they show you some little kid that is like very skinny or or like neglected and stuff, it creates a heart response. The heart response
Absolutely.
before your brain starts judging or describing or anything, right? So these things can be used for all sorts of things, manipulation, because we are emotional beings. This is planet Earth. We are emotionally wired and stuff. But this is also why it's important, the heart, the Leo and the Aquarius, to know the middle point. Like, okay, I don't allow someone else to misuse my emotions, my emotional response, my heart openness for their agenda. But also I don't want to shut my heart down so nothing affects me. So where is the middle point? And this is also the aspect of the Aquarian age, which is this emotional maturation, that we no
Mm.
longer acting and reacting based on trauma response, but I am aware. I'm aware of myself. I'm aware of emotion. It's not like I don't feel nothing, but I understand myself and I know where it's coming from, and it's coming to inform me about something. And I am the creator. I am the source, and I can decide how do I channel this energy to create something of a value for myself and everyone else. So there are so many components that are part of this, but this equality, justice, balance, and this heart-centered way of creating, this is going to be the biggest thing of Aquarian age.
Oh yeah, I agree. You said that so eloquently. That's how I was trying to explain that, but you had the right words. That was so awesome. It's
I don't.
interesting.
Something that is talking does. I don't speak like this in everyday basis.
It's so interesting that you talk about this equality because this is something that I have been working on. I'm working at least in my mind on putting together a piece, but it started with doing these moon reports and looking at this Pluto Uranus trine that we're moving into. I think 2031, I wrote down, is when they make their first pass. Um, and it's an interesting thing. So I went back to look at when this conjunction started. It was in 1965. So
Yes.
in the United States in 1965 was the civil rights movement. Um, and when you look at the civil rights movement, what we're talking about is the inequality of people. And so this was the beginning. This is also when the hippies started. They started talking about free love and, flower children. They started playing the whole Leo thing, right? Which literally was the beginning of the Aquarian age. It's like the teenagers of the late 60s began that. In fact, they called it the Summer of Love, 1969. And so that was the beginning. And it's interesting because it's that conjunction happened when I was 5, almost 5, moving into my 5th year. And I actually remembered I have a lot of trauma associated with that. But then understanding now that as we are moving through this Aquarian age and coming to the trine, now the trine is Pluto is in Aquarius.
Hmm. Yes, because it
It's
happened in
it's
Virgo. The
it's
conjunction
the
happened in Virgo. So the point of
it,
conjunction in Virgo will be actually Uranus is trining in that. So
yes,
Uranus is trying the point of conjunction because Aquarius and Virgo, they are in conjunct, no?
Aquarius and
Yeah,
Virgo. Where's
it's in
Virgo?
conjunction.
Yes. Uh
So they just had a
no,
trine now. They had a trine now because Pluto just moved out of Capricorn.
Aquarius and Virgo. Which is in a trine now?
Pluto just
Uranus and
Pluto is trining Uranus, and Pluto just trined now. I don't remember exactly what was the point of conjunction in Virgo, but Pluto trined it while it was traveling through the sign of Capricorn. So this is where I feel
oh,
these things are starting to come into harvest. We are starting to see the fruit of that labor that got seeded in 1965, where we had the idea, we had the
the
inspiration,
idea.
but it
Yeah.
was still coming from an unhealed place, because even though we had all these like, oh yeah, equality for all, flower children, blah blah blah, people still didn't do the work. They didn't feel worthy.
No.
They didn't feel worthy. So that's why in many cases these things backfired on people, and they felt even more traumatized and wounded and abandoned, neglected, or used, because the idea was right. We were tapping into the right frequency, but we had not yet done the work because of the
Yeah.
collective consciousness. It wasn't ready, and people were still operated from that wounded place. Just like, when people
Yes.
are very traumatized and had very traumatizing childhoods, and then they decide straight away, as soon as they hit 18, get married and have kids because they think they
Yes.
can do a better job. And sometimes that helps them on their healing journey, but it's not going to necessarily work out that way straight away,
No.
because all the trauma and wounding is going to come up first.
Yes, exactly. And we're still working on balancing that hierarchical thing.
Mm,
Yeah, finding balance. Like everybody's different. So there is no hierarchy. We're all on an even playing field. But the way that our culture has been, and I believe this is part of the end of Capricorn. I don't know how long this hierarchy's been going on, but as far as I understand, the first confrontation of it was the Pluto-Uranus conjunction.
mm, mm.
And that we're still, I mean, that's been a long time. That's almost 60 years ago. We're working our way through, and we're still fighting with each other. We're still killing each other because of some hierarchical need. Oh, I'm better than you. You don't deserve this. Blah, the whole movie is still playing out,
Exactly.
but
Yeah.
it's coming to an end. People's energy, particularly my guess is with this trine, will help us break free from those particular values. Those particular values will end. And then the mindset, because then Uranus is going to move into Gemini.
Mm-hmm,
We'll
mm-hmm.
be breaking free the thought processes that, the old paradigm has been, we've been conditioned into it. And it's just like you said with, the whole hippie movement in the 60s. We didn't quite get it because we still had trauma. We still
Exactly.
have
Yeah.
trauma associated with the thought processes. This healing journey is is specific and it takes time to move our way through. But we are slowly, particularly if we're aware of what's happening, and then we can sort of push ourselves to do it as time moves forward.
And this is, I think, what you meant, because the exact trine between Pluto and Uranus now is going to be happening from Uranus Gemini. Uranus in Gemini. And
Yes.
this is what you now literally talking about, what you just describing with words. It's exactly that people will be able to become aware and verbalize what is that thing that actually happened, took place, and therefore be able to transform this energy into something different and free themselves from it, because they will understand it. Because
Yeah.
at the time back then in 60s, people still didn't have the tools. Like, I mean, I'm not saying everyone, obviously there were star seeds that were ahead of their time and they understood everything perfectly, but collective consciousness wasn't ready. Collective consciousness didn't understand. We were
No.
still in a dark age when it comes to psychology, even though psychology was around by that stage, for like what, 30, 40 years, something. I mean, Pluto only got discovered in 1930s. So that's what I mean. Everything was very new, and it's like the Aries energy, like, oh, we're all excited about this new thing, but it wasn't grounded. We like
Right.
that's why I always keep saying to my Pluto Virgo clients that what we are going through now, Pluto ending Capricorn, and this becoming possible for us, has become possible because of Pluto Virgos, because
Yeah.
they brought this energy of change with them, and they had to learn, literally in these past 60 years, humanity had to learn to ground this energy, this Virgo, this earth sign, ground this energy for this change that we are experiencing now, post Pluto Capricorn, and this baby is Pluto Capricorn. This change is going to be manifest by Pluto Capricorns, because
Yes.
by the time Pluto is done with Aquarius and moving into Pisces, these kids will be adults.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
So this is why we, just like you said, there is no better or worse. There is no hierarchy, because everybody plays a role. We can look up or down at our ancestors, but for me to be here, you to be here, all this had to take place, and they had to find a way to survive, whichever the hell way they had to do it. Otherwise, I could never be born, and I couldn't do what I do, and you couldn't be here do what you do, and you couldn't birth your children that are going to do whatever they came here to do. So this is where, you know, the Pisces Virgo, that eventually we embodied the meaning and understanding of why everything happened exactly as it happened, and it was perfect from the soul perspective, even though from human perspective we had to let go of the need to judge, criticize, and put a label on it, because otherwise it makes no sense to our ego mind. But everything happens exactly as it has to in order to get us exactly where we're going, with regards to the honor of the universe to our right to free will. And that's the
Yes,
unconditional love. The love to have a free will's choice is the unconditional love.
there it is.
And this is what we are working on now, especially with this
Yes.
Virgo Pisces energy of the North and the South Node that we are moving into, that we already feel now, to have that inner standing and be able to embody, because this is something that I've experienced very recently, that I can have all the tools, all the logical explanation and spiritual understanding of these things. But until I embody that energy, the energy
Yes.
of forgiveness and compassion and whatever else it is, you know, that I'm working on, it means nothing. It's just words. It's just theory. But until we embody it, but the embodiment, the earth energy takes time. So don't go beating yourself up about, oh, I still hold a grudge and I can't forgive, blah, 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 because maybe
Oh,
it's
that's
not your time.
you're right. And that's coming as the nodes move into Virgo and Pisces. The
Exactly.
time is to confront this past way of being a victim, of playing in that hierarchy, things that were done, things that we had self-sacrificed for, and healing it and forgiving ourselves, because you know we're children. This is the journey we've had to go through, and this is part of the spiritualization of humanity.
And understanding that, you know, that that Bible quote, right? Eye for an eye, right? Eye for an
Oh,
eye just makes everybody blind, right? So, you know,
right.
it's been passed on from generation to generation. These people, you know, whatever skin, race, religion, culture, they did this to your ancestors. You need to go after them. You know, you own it to your
This
ancestors. And then it just goes back and forth like a bloody
back
ping
and
pong.
forth,
Yeah, like
one
a bloody
war
ping
after
pong.
another, isn't it?
Exactly. So we need to come to the point of eye for an eye is going to make the whole world blind. So
I
who's going to
mean,
be the one to stop it, you know? And it starts with you, with me, with everyone.
yes. It starts with realizing that we're all on an equal basis.
Because in
Spoken from
essence,
a
we all want
Pluto,
the same.
right? It's the Pluto and Virgo generation. We're equal people.
Exactly. And everybody has a role to play, and then every role is important. It's just
Every role.
through our human ego standards, projections, and expectations, we define, oh, yeah, that person is a lawyer. Oh, yeah, their role is more important than the plumber one.
Right.
Imagine if there are no plumbers in the world, we are all screwed, no matter how many lawyers you're going to have.
Right.
But everybody's important, everybody's equal. Nobody's role is more important than somebody else's, because just like on a movie set, if they don't have these extras that fill the space, I mean, the movie would be quite boring if there are just two people in it, you know, the main people, like the she and he
Exactly.
usually, or whatever. So that's what I mean. Like we can look at it even now, like many people, like, you know, many of us are going through even judging the people, like, hey, they are unawake and they are asleep, how can be so dumb, whatever. But there has to be people who play the role of the contrast, and their role is no less important, it's just different. So this is like, yes, there
Yeah.
are some people that are meant to be on a front line of this change, and there are some people that are meant to be the keepers of the past, because they represent in the contrast and is necessary while we're going through this transition. So this is where we go back to this Jupiter Mercury opposition, and Jupiter being the ruler of the moon and all the rest of it. We just need to look at everything through different lens. And it's
There you
not
go.
easy, but it has to start somewhere. And this is a good place to start with the new moon.
With a new moon in Sag as we're expanding. And this is why Mercury is retrograde and Jupiter is retrograde. We're looking at our beliefs and our thought processes through a new lens. Got to go back over and get a side angle view this time. See what it is. What is it that we're going to believe? And it's, the moon, it's a dark moon. We don't actually know where it's leading. It's just seeding something for the future. And that's what's important. And then keeping the heart open. What will come will come.
You know what's the most trippy thing I literally just received? Chiron is trining this moon. It's a 10-degree orb, but still valid.
It
Chiron is
is.
exactly on the same degree. We had the new moon solar eclipse in Aries in April, on April 8, 19 degrees,
Oh,
conjunct Chiron. Chiron is
oh
retrograde, is on
yeah.
the same degree, 19 degrees. And the Sagittarius new moon is happening on the same degrees. We're going to have the next new moon solar eclipse in Aries in March 29th, 2025. And it's going to be the last one in Aries,
Oh.
because then, so literally, I'm just looking at it now and I'm like, holy moly. And it's literally like Chiron is activating this new moon in Aries, which we had in April. We changed everything because it was the first one in a new phase conjunction with North Node, and the other ones were in a closing phase. So it changed this tide, it changed the tide, how things were going. It's like, okay, now we need to start moving forward, right? And now
Yep.
this new moon in Sagittarius is trining this point and is also preparing us for this point of the next Aries eclipse, which is saying that now is the time we change the tides. Like we knew that, okay, this Ace of Wands is here, this new energy, Mars was in Pisces, to co-create with the spirit, world of a deeper meaning, wholeness, and all the rest of it. And now it's like, okay, now is the time to see the story. It's time.
Wow.
So I'm
Whoa,
like,
that's
I literally
cool.
just got that now, like looking at the numbers, and I'm like, shit. And
I
it's
love
also
that.
number 9 is the number of completion and culmination. It's time to let go of these old stories.
Yeah. I mean, really, it is true.
So whatever you want to create, that's the question. And don't
That
ask yourself if
is.
it's possible, just whatever you want to create, what gives you the most sense of joy and inspires you to keep going.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's it. Like I would say, buckle up. Here it comes.
This
Most
moon is
awesome.
such a blessing. Like I looked at the full moon in Sagittarius, there's gonna be so many squares.
Uh,
That's what I
I
mean,
haven't.
like with this one, like we were saying, you have a free will's choice, but the energy is here. So what you're gonna choose? Because if you're not gonna choose, the universe is gonna force you to choose.
I mean, that's the thing.
By the full moon
You're
in
right
Taurus.
there. If you don't make the choice, the energy's shifting anyway. Yeah. So I find it exciting, even in this space where I'm just not sure what the direction is while I'm, you know, contemplating my own truth and going back over what it is that, I mean, just this whole not knowing. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the future brings, but it's there's a kind of a peace, just a settled feeling in that. It's like, okay, I don't know. It's a little, I don't know who I am, and that's okay too. I mean, I speak like this, I guess, because I'm, experiencing my progressed new sun. Pluto has just gotten off of my sun, so that old self is gone, and
So
I'm
you
not
are
sure who's
reborn.
new yet. Yeah, what's new? Something new is happening.
But you see, that's the thing. That's the point from which everything is created. So
Yes,
you know who you're not. You know who you
I
will.
know who I'm not.
But that's more than you knew before.
That's true.
So there's a good starting place, because that's why you had to experience the contrast to know that, oh yeah, I tried that, but it's not that anymore. But if you didn't
Yeah,
go through the experience, you wouldn't know that.
exactly. That's awesome. Cool.
And this is also, like just like hearing you talking, which is exactly the thing I would say. That yeah, I don't know who I am, where I'm going, like what to do. But when we start working with the quantum field, which is something I'm programming myself to start, it's like who cares what's gonna happen? What do you want? What do you want to create? You
Exactly.
know, so it's like you are in this, and we are in this gestation period where we are becoming, we are becoming, we are in the process of becoming, and
We
then
are.
you're gonna decide for yourself, not like, well, we don't know what's coming because we still like kind of waiting for something to hit us. I don't know what's coming, and it's like, no, I'm gonna create what the hell I want to be coming, you know. So this is like where we changing the narrative, but we creating the foundation. I know I am not who I was. So right now I'm creating a foundation of who I feel I'm becoming, which is going to change in next 6 months because of Mars retrograde, Venus retrograde. But I'm getting inklings. At least I know
Yep.
who I am not and what I don't want. And then
Yep.
we're gonna start co-creating with the universe through the quantum field of like, I'm not waiting for anything to happen. I'm gonna bloody create it myself.
Yes. Yep. That's it.
So that's
And those
cool, eh?
tools and things that you need to create what you want will just show up.
It's so trippy.
That's my belief.
Yeah, but it's awesome. And this is it.
Yeah.
This is the Jupiter in Gemini. Think bigger.
Yes.
Think bigger. How far you want to go? You know, how far,
Exactly.
how big? You know, think bigger. Come on.
Big, dream big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the external world outside of you, whatever the hell is going on a world stage, it offers a contrast. It offers you one of the possible timelines, but not the only timeline. So
Yeah.
this is where the brain will not understand. The brain
Right.
will try to argue. Most people hearing me, the brain will start to argue. She doesn't know
Yes.
what she's talking about. She's delusional. Look at the state of the world, you know? And this is the game we playing. This is literally it. Yes,
Yeah.
the universe is giving us options and saying, well, you can go that way or you can go different way. But if you
Yeah.
want to go different way, you need to create it. And this is
Yep.
where the responsibility comes in, because if I want to have a different experience, I need to create it. How? And this is the Taurus foundation. You need to create a strong foundation within yourself. And from that, then everything else will grow. And this is the early stages of that.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Well, I love this.
I'm
Yay.
super excited because this is happening on my Uranus.
All right. This new moon is on your Uranus?
That is within a degree. My Uranus is on 17 degrees. So my Uranus is right in between the moon and
Right in
Mercury.
between. Whoa.
The moon and Mercury. So I'm like, Mercury is just
There you
hitting
go.
it back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like, okay, let's trip on this. So I'm super excited about this, you know. Like for me,
Yeah.
this new moon is like it's a whole new chapter of your life. This is literally the beginning of a whole new chapter of your life.
Yes. Yes, it is.
And you are the one that's going to write it.
And you get to write it. That's the thing. We're not following anybody else's storyline now. I mean, if that's what it is that you choose, but the opportunity for us to each choose our own timelines is there. So decide what you want to do and get on it.
Uh, even when I was recording my own videos about the Sagittarius, I just feel this. I feel so good about this moon. I feel so good about this energy, like this joyous excitement. You know, this like really like a child, like like there is an
There it
adventure
is.
ahead.
This is that fire trine that you're feeling.
Yeah, it's yeah, and this Mars is on my descendant. Of course it is. And North Node
Mhm.
just conjuncted my Venus. So yeah, so of course I feel excited.
Yeah. I mean, it's exciting times for sure.
Just don't allow the external world to take away your joy.
Yeah. No, that's why we worked through Capricorn and gaining a nice, strong emotional structure. We are contained.
That's it. Oh yeah, and we forgot to mention that Saturn is squaring this moon.
Oh, wow. Yeah, we did.
It's okay because Saturn is just you growing into your own authority. And this is the emotional maturation which we are
Yes.
talking about. We just didn't uh, identify it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've been talking about it for months.
Exactly.
Yeah. We, this is the square. It's a third quarter square, really. Like I was, it's a third quarter square from the moon. So this is the opportunity to really, you know, let go of and move away from the beliefs of the system of the past and begin to step into the beliefs of ourselves. And, new moon in Sag, here we go.
That's really actually interesting because yes, when you look at the point of from the moon, which is the yin energy,
Yep.
you are releasing the old sense of ego, the old sense of yourself that is attached to the old story. And then when you look at it just separately from the point of the sun, because obviously the sun square to Saturn is just going to happen in 3 days, it's not
Yep.
yet happening. So just the two of them in separation, then is the first quarter square, which is the yang energy. Then this is
Exactly.
that, yes, you are actively becoming a conscious creator of your reality. So this is very, yeah, this is very interesting way of, yeah,
Looking at it, huh? Because it's
exactly,
both ways. Yep, they're
exactly.
together. It's a separation, yeah.
So yeah,
So it's
once
very
once
cool.
once they separate, the moon will be close into Saturn, and then in few days time after this, sun will square the Saturn separately, and it's a very different energy. But we can see the yin and the yang, the inner and the outer, and how they affecting us differently.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll be an interesting time. This will be an interesting month.
Yeah,
The
this is
month
the
of
last.
December, the last month of
But we have free
2024.
lunations.
Say that again?
We have free moons.
Ah,
We're gonna have the black new moon
we have a blue moon this month.
they call it black moon. They said if it's two new moons in 1 month, they call it black moon or something.
Oh, because a blue moon is two full moons?
I think so.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know. Oh,
I
that's
didn't
cool.
know either. Just somebody
Black
told me
moon.
last time.
Mm.
So yeah, so we have the Gemini full moon on the 15th, and then we close this year with the Capricorn new moon number 2, because we had one in January.
That's right. I remember.
The first one.
Yeah,
Wow. All right.
very cool. I think I was in Mexico for that.
Yes. It was on the 11th. I think you came right after.
Did I come right after? Because I
Because you
know we
came for
did.
your birthday, no?
Yeah,
14th or
yes, I
something.
arrived on the 17th.
Yeah, I know that it was right around your birthday time, so
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
a few days after. But either way, you were here on the wave of that energy.
Yes, for sure. For sure.
Awesome. So, any
Yeah.
closing thoughts?
No, just, use this time of this retrograde time and yeah, internalize what you find to be true, what you want to be true, even, and move from there because this Sagittarius season is about expansion. What is it that you're trying to grow?
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I see about it.
and I think a big aspect of that, especially because of the retrograde energy, is for us to becoming conscious about all these limiting belief systems that are preventing us from manifesting that. So, like we
Absolutely.
starting to recognize what is my truth? What do I believe? What do I want it to be my truth, right? And then straight away we becoming aware with this Mercury retrograde opposition, this voice in our head that's going to contradict you and say, stay safe, play low, play small. This is how you survive. Da 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 da. So it's both are happening simultaneously. This desire and opportunity for expansion, but facing that which is preventing that from taking seeds, from actually manifesting. So this is the opposition, the push and pull, push and pull. So this is
Mm-hmm.
a wonderful time to become conscious, observe it, work with it, and not judge yourself. Because again,
Oh,
it's this everything that took place helped you to survive, to be here, right now. Otherwise, you would be dead, because there are a lot of things that were programmed into us because of what our ancestors went through that helped them to survive. Okay, we're living in different time and age, but our ego doesn't know that. The
yeah.
program is like, okay, it's still running in a subconscious. So we're becoming conscious of the unconscious. And then we can decide, is this still working for me now? Is this still protecting me? Or is this now becoming the devil card and is actually not allowing me to breathe and is stifling me? So, yeah, so this is a very good time to become conscious
Yes.
of these things.
Yes, absolutely. It's awesome.
Cool. All right then.
Yeah.
Adrienne,
All right, I'm gonna take
what
this
are your
down.
news in your reality apart from new complete transformation?
I'm available for readings if you want some consultation about what's going on in these energies for yourself. I can help you look. You can reach out to me at justkarenastrology.com. I also post a moon report every 2 weeks. I'll be posting my moon report today after this recording, and you can get to that link through Jess Karen Astrology on Facebook. You can get to it through my website, or you can just join right on to my Substack account.
Awesome. And yeah, and everybody who wants to connect with me can find me on my website, moonlightsoul369. And as always, it was a pleasure. Thank you, Adrienne, for joining me for this delightful conversation. Thank you, everyone, for watching and everyone who was present. And we'll see you, I guess, 2 more times this year for the next
Right?
lunation.
2 more times. That's it.
All right, everyone, have a good December and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.